Connectivity may not be a problem for me so much as for y'all at Aldo, says Jim. Is he on? Do we have some way to know that?
We can look at participants. No, he's not there. Anthony and Justine.
Let us know if you've sent a Zoom link yet.
It's on the agenda on the website. Would he like me to send it to him?
Not that messy thing. Oh, to send it to him so we can click on it?
Yeah, I mean, I can email that link. I can open up our webpage, go to. It's just because the bandwidth is so low,
Well, I
it
can,
would be easier for
I
someone
can
else
copy
to.
it from the agenda.
Yeah, hotspots, Miller Library, public library.
But does he have internet? He can just go to the Aldo website, go to agendas, and the link is there.
Okay, let me tell him that.
And it's also at the top of the page. Like,
Yeah, well, and they like, they need
About us,
all
governance, agendas.
So it's just like.
it's
Click
on that
it.
page. It's on the top of that.
You guys work, but,
Yeah, I can't even load. Hi, Tanya, welcome.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, exactly.
We've met, but we've seen
And
it.
so, yeah,
Hi.
it's been some.
Nice to meet you. We are, this is not uncommon, dealing with some technical questions.
Okay,
Jim is attempting to log on to the Zoom.
okay.
If you are available to take some notes, but better. If you're willing to.
I'm willing to.
Oh, I'm sure you're dealing with.
Well.
Started with chaos.
I'll post in my
It's just
after
chaos.
birthday.
Well, maybe that's all it warrants is a half birthday present. I cannot.
Call it a Mother's Day present to Chris.
Has Jim found it? I can do it on my phone.
Will do, he
Carved into a
says.
stone
Will
and,
do.
like,
Right, I mean, it's like, and then, I'll carve them into the stone and then we don't know how we're gonna get the
I
students.
don't think,
to
Right.
I
connect.
don't think
I've
we
been
gave
feeling
him all
so
that this
bad
week,
for
I'm
anyone
sorry.
who's like trying to graduate
Yeah.
college this year,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah,
because I
that's for
know
sure.
even when I graduated, it was such a hassle. It'd be like, okay, now I need this paper so I can like,
Yes, and
Get you to
going
my job.
through the,
And,
yes,
and it's like, all that is on computer, so. I
Yep.
don't even know what to do.
yeah, they're doing the best they can, but yes, I'm with you, that's been like since, it's been
a month.
a month?
It's been a whole month.
Yeah, it's been a whole month, and right in the beginning, I was like, how are we gonna get these people graduated? But we were so distracted by lots of other things and felt like. It's still a thing, and it's tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow's
Gmail or
graduation.
LCS people.
Yeah.
Gmail's.
Oh, Lord.
Post it.
Go. That's kind of how it. You did it, and we're pretty sure you made it. Yeah. Confirmed. We don't need to transfer anytime soon. Yeah, and it's kind of a nutty mess, and I mean, I'm just in the math department, right? I'm not even in IT or anything, like those guys must be doing absolutely insane.
Trying to put on a festival with that.
Right, I'm not trying to, right, I'm just trying to get my grades in, that's it, that's a finite number of, I have 50 something grades, that's it, not 5,000 things to do, right?
Well, why don't we get started? And I think Jim will be joining us
He's
soon.
there.
He's there?
Jim McIntosh.
Look at that, Jim McIntosh. No cell phones. Symbol. Okay. Call this meeting to order at 5:34. Jim Alex has very kindly volunteered to take notes as backup instead of me, so. she's
Okay, I
doing
don't know that that's necessary, but it's a kind offer. I think I'm set up. Unfortunately, I'm present but not visible, but I'm in the meeting.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate taking time out from your vacation. Roll call. Jim McIntosh here remotely.
Here.
Alex Tager?
I'm here, President.
Harry Brown is
Question.
here. Reading of the mission and vision. Any volunteers?
Good.
Thank you, Alex.
The mission at Aldo Leopold Charter School, the human and natural environments serve as text and lab for learning through direct experience, inquiry, and stewardship. Vision. Aldo Leopold Charter School graduates will use the skills, perspectives, and information they gain at school to enhance their own lives and advance social, economic, and environmental sustainability.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to agenda review. I want to start by asking Jim how important it is that we move action items up earlier for you.
It's not that important. I can handle it.
Your friend Ray appreciates being able to leave earlier.
Okay.
All right. In that case, are there any changes anyone would like to make to the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor of the agenda as presented, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right. Review and approval of meeting minutes from April 10 and April 24. Jim, thank you again. You got those April 24 minutes in very quickly.
Hmm.
Appreciate that.
Speedy, Jim. It was.
Are there any requested changes or questions about the minutes?
For the two.
Yeah, shall we do April 10 first?
We can do April 24th first, because I want to find April.
Okay. Well, I had none on April 24. It looked very straightforward to me. Since
I make
Jim is
the
the
motion to
secretary,
approve the April 24th minutes.
I will second that motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, approved unanimously. How about April 10?
I have a couple of changes I would like to have entertained.
Mhm.
The sentence, Miss Vigil estimates that the school will enjoy a modest cash carryover of 50,000. I would like to strike the word enjoy.
Ah! The school expects to have, the school
Oh, really?
is projected to have,
Miss Vigil estimates a cash carryover of
okay,
50,000.
okay with you, Jim?
It is, but I'm enjoying the fact that we're not in debt. Okay, so the budget is, we're still within budget. That was my only point, but that feels like niggling to me. But if you want to change it, we can do that.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks for getting your niggling word in there. Okay, and one other thing that I would like to strike, and I'm sorry that I'm not prepared. Do we need all the comments written out in the minutes? Is that something that we,
We've had this conversation, we don't need them, but there's no rule against it.
all right, I'm sorry that I didn't find, but
I made those changes because Alex, you suggested them. So I contacted Nathan and he supplied it. You're talking about the statement that Nathan read.
Yeah, I was suggesting that we attach them and not include them in the whole, in the actual minutes like that, just see statement. Because I'm not comfortable with Deandra's statement in here. And her comment about wanting to vomit.
Well, I'm not comfortable with it necessarily, but I feel like it was said at the meeting. What's the difference between an attachment and actually being in the minutes, especially when there's a recording of the meeting?
It's not necessary to have all the raw emotion.
So if I understand what Alex is proposing, the difference would be, Jim, that if you have Nate's as an attachment, you could strike Deandra's without feeling you were being unfair. Is that essentially what you're saying?
Have them all as
Hmm.
attachments.
Well, Deandra's is not available as an attachment.
Right.
Yeah, so it was somebody, I just feel like it's unnecessary oversharing.
Which my guess is 0 people will ever see.
That's fine.
to be honest.
But it's now I've stated my
Yeah.
opinion, so we can move on. You don't want to strike it, that's fine.
I personally don't, Jim went to a lot of effort to get it in there. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think it's many more pages than a minute should be. I've expressed that before, but I don't have a problem with the emotion being there.
I'll let it go. I mean, that's my advice would be to limit the emotional component of the minutes.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, thank you for listening,
I'll make a motion to approve the April 10 minutes
as amended,
as amended.
I will second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. All right. We have a public comment section, but I'm guessing the 2 members of the public are not here for comment. I could be wrong. Would you like to make any comment?
No.
No? Okay. Then we can move on to business manager report, so Justine can get to her other meeting for the night.
Thank you. I think at this time I was gonna just go over the budget, Harry, if you wanted to give the finance report.
Perfect.
Okay. Let me share my screen. Hopefully that's not too small. Can you all see it? Or if you have a copy, I'm not sure if you do, but is it okay?
Yeah, it's good, Justine. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so I'm presenting the proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26. I worked really hard on this with the budget committee. We've met a few times over the last, I'd say, couple months to get this balanced. So we'll start with the SEG. This is the state equalization guarantee. This makes up the operational budget. The SEG is given to us by PED. It's in, what's made up of this number is a lot of different formulas. So there's the average of the 8120 day student count from this current year. They also take into account special ed, at risk, if the school is bilingual. They look at the projection on what you're projecting for the next current year on the 40th day. So there's a lot of different factors that go into this. So we have $2,826,363. I am projecting about 100,000 carryover. I did let the budget committee know it could be a little bit less if purchase orders are open between now and June 30th. Also, the food services budget is a little tight this year just due to not receiving a couple of months revenues. So that budget will be cut, and whatever expenses that the food services fund does not cover will be moved to operational. So there may be a few factors that this cash carryover will be smaller. But this budget is balanced. There's a few things that the legislative session did pass. That was a 4% increase for all returning staff. They raised the teacher levels, going from level 1 is starting now at 55,000, level 2 is 65,000, and level 3 is 75,000. The NIMSIA health benefits did go up by 9%, and the dental went up 4%. So all of those are taken into account in this budget. I'm not sure if you all had a chance to review this budget. I wasn't going to go line by line, but if you have any questions on the budget, please let me know. So-
Justine, is the 2.8 from the SEG, is that higher than we expected?
I would say a little bit higher, yes. It was a little bit higher than I anticipated. So last year, or this current year, we have 2.6. So it's a little bit of an increase going into next year. but that's to cover all of the increases that the legislature mandated.
Yeah, there's the 4% raise, the raise in the levels, the raise in NIMSIA, the raise in dental, and the SEG addition does not cover all of that.
Still,
Right, so, yeah.
So there's not really much of a savings, in this budget, so that next year is gonna be really tight. I mean, we didn't over budget anywhere that I can think of. I think we've budgeted pretty exact. We kind of look at every line item within our budget, you know, to make sure that we can cover all expenses. We did make a little bit of cuts. So I would say, yeah, next year's gonna be pretty tight.
I missed a couple of the meetings, I'm sorry, but do we account for the fewer trips,
Yes,
subs and everything?
yes,
Should we?
it's still gonna be very, very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, that's how we got to.
that's how we
Alex.
got there, yeah, but no one lost their job. And therefore, it was successful.
Yeah, Hannah, if you want to speak to any, positions or salaries or give an overview, you're welcome to do so if you'd like.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I can talk about it in the director report or talk about the ways that we've gotten there and, but I think that what matters is that we have built a balanced budget for next year, though it is tight, no one lost their jobs. And although some programs some things are smaller, we have to contract before we can expand is the hope. But thank you, Justine. I appreciate the opportunity.
So-
One little savings that I can mention is, this instructional material line. So this line item is used for any instructional materials within the classroom. This 34,000 amount was given to us and it's within the SEG. So they kind of sent us a memo like this is what Aldo is allocated for instructional materials. This is what they're funding us for. We may not use all of this, so this is one line item, or there's a little bit of savings there, so. If a decrease bar ever needed to be done, I would say that line item would go first.
The only one.
And maybe,
Justine, quick question. If we don't use all of that instructional money, is that transferable in any way? I mean, is it? In other
Yes.
words, must it strictly be used for instructional materials?
No, we could probably do a budget adjustment request and say we needed more money in student travel. Say we're actually going to spend 8,000
Mhm.
next year. We can pull a little bit money out of here, put it into this line to increase the
Okay.
budget.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on the budget?
So I don't have a question. I was just gonna review just a few of the changes. Hannah mentioned nobody lost their jobs, but there are some decreases in percentage FTE of some employees.
absolutely.
The contracts, Anthony, hopefully this doesn't come as a surprise to you at this point. We eliminated business manager contract, special ed director contract, and our strategic plan contract. I think we had strongly hinted we thought we would need to do that. We are not replacing Fiona, so no one's losing a job per se, but there's one less
Reading
FTE
specialist,
there.
yeah.
And the fewer trips. The only other place I
And
think,
there's no restorative coordinator, so we lost a
I
position,
forgot that.
and we lost a service. But the person who held that position, we have a different position. So she did not lose a job, but we lost, a really vital valuable part of what we do.
Thank you for remembering
Yeah.
that. And the other place, Alex, I was gonna say that there might be some possibility of moving money into somewhere else where we need it, is the subs. Others did not agree with me. I thought we ended up budgeting maybe 8,000 more than we need. Just so you know, for subs, I wanted to cut it to 22, and in the end, we cut it to 30,000. Those are the only notes I wanted to add to the budget discussion.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think that's great. Thank you, Justine. This has been a ton of work and I appreciate all of your work on it.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
you're welcome.
You want anything else for Justine before she signs off?
Look, we gave you like 10 whole
Right?
minutes. This is our gift to you.
I will be sending a DocuSign out to all of the GC members present tonight and online, because you all will be approving this budget. And so if you could just look out for that, probably tomorrow. It's just a form, the DocuSign we have to send with the budget. And then one more thing you all have to approve is the salary schedule. Do you want me to put that up real quick?
I think you could, you sent it to them already or no? Did you see it again?
I don't need to see it again. I don't recall being sent, but I saw it at something, so it must have been.
I can send it, Justine can send it,
Okay. Yeah, I just want to
Um,
make sure that the budget, just in the minutes, that the budget is approved, the salary schedule, and then the
yeah.
calendar.
Okay,
I
And
don't
so,
know.
and I'll just briefly state on the salary schedule, like I mentioned, all the levels went up about 5,000, so the base is 55, but I went off last year's salary schedule. And I kind of just gave the 4% increase based on last year's salary schedule, so, I mean, that's all I did.
so you gave the 4% to positions even if they weren't occupied by people?
Correct.
Yeah.
So just so it flows.
I can see Harry's face, Justine. Can I ask you a question? Because does the salary schedule have to be approved tonight, or could we approve the salary schedule in June? It does.
You can approve it in June. I'm still gonna upload it with the budget.
Yeah, I
And if there's a
understand.
change to it, I can just send them the change, like this was a change to what I submitted.
I don't know. It looks like maybe they haven't looked at it or didn't see it somehow. And so I'm happy to have those conversations. Yeah, I
Okay,
can talk to the governing council about it. I think that the salary schedule looks good.
okay. All right,
Thanks,
well
just-
then, if you have any
Yeah.
other questions, feel free to email me, call me, text me, so.
Justine, one really quick question. Sorry, as far as the DocuSign, the timeliness of the DocuSign, I'm getting on a train tomorrow at 8 a.m. and I'm not going to be back in Silver City until Tuesday evening. Will that be any kind of a problem if I may have some trouble connectivity trouble.
No, don't worry about it. I was just expect it
Okay.
probably tomorrow, but the budget's not due until the 15th. So
Okay.
I'll need it by end of day, the 14th, so no problem.
Okay. We'll take care of it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justine.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Justine.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 If you have any budget discussion they want to conduct while it's fresh in our minds. It's going to be
What
an
you're
action.
asking?
So, the legislature, the wording is there is enough money appropriated for schools to give a 4% raise to staff members for the next school year. I don't read that as saying you have to, so that was point one. But.
I
Justine
signed an
believes we have to.
assurance that said that I did, right? Like it says the assurance that I signed for the state says, did you give 4% across the board? Just for clarity.
It says across the board, it says average,
No, it does not say
because the
average.
legislation said average.
The assurances do not.
Well, you don't have to, okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's would be a second quibble. that I would
Right.
have. But what just happened, in our salary schedules, probably 90% of the cells don't correspond to any real person. And if you give those cells the full 4% raise, then there's an argument for it. But my argument against is you are unnecessarily locking yourself into something that you might not be able to afford in the future. And there's absolutely no point at which anybody says, did you give raises to people you don't actually employ, right? Did you give raises to future employees? That's not something we have to certify. So I have always felt there's no reason to do that if we don't have to. Because we maximize flexibility by not doing that. So that's what I was asking.
I think that for next month's agenda, we should add a salary schedule discussion, and look at them then.
Yeah. The only real relevance next year would be if we hire somebody mid-year.
Right.
Right, they'll go into a slot and there's a salary schedule already there. But there is a real relevance in future years that grows and grows. Because you lock yourself in every time you do that. Okay. All right, thanks. So, the rest of the business manager report that she requested, we give, the finance committee, a
Can't
very,
you do it at finance committee and let
Sure.
Ray?
instead of business manager? Yeah, that's a good idea. That way, we have no student council.
No.
We can let Ray go.
Lucy was making, lasagna for the last 2 hours for senior banquet tomorrow, and so I told her she could ditch out.
Good for you. Okay, on to Ray, Chris.
Okay, well, I guess the first thing, it's been Teacher Appreciation Week, so guys can appreciate, no, I'm just kidding. I wanted to say, we're all super thankful to SAC. I know you're involved in making a lot of this happen, and the Aldo Foundation and all that. We actually had staffs, being able to get a massage. We had a parent, offered that up, so a lot of people were really happy about that, and this is the time of year, everything's super stressful and patience is wearing thin. So it's so appreciated by all the staff, everything that parents and volunteers are doing. Okay, I guess I guess it sort of goes without saying, all these budget woes always have like a little bit of an effect on morale, but I think everyone understands, obviously these choices need to be made to have a school. So we appreciate the hard decisions that are being made, and want to make sure that, the long term is really being prioritized, because some things it's more expensive to bring them back than to, there are certain things that once the investment's already there, if it gets cut, then it's expensive to try to reignite it, right? And I'm sure that this is all being thought about. I did have a question about the substitute fund, and I worry about any too much cut to that. And is there an obligation if X amount of teachers are in their contract? The contract says you have this many PTO days. Well, is there a risk of making an obligation that can't be kept? And where's the sort of how is that negotiated, basically, and just awareness of that. So yeah, that's everything about money, but also on the term, if you guys want to see the fruits of all of this labor, obviously look around. We have these art shows still up. What's that work over there? That's really wonderful. I really love Micah.
I love
March's
Micah's
work.
stuff.
It's
His
just so
stuff is so
impressive,
cool.
and it's strange, but just such I really like, if you get into it. I had him also do some drawing projects, just really great art, and as well as this weekend at the Hearth, there's a music show, which is going to be all those students making music, so worth coming by for.
2 o'clock,
2
2
o'clock.
o'clock.
Yeah, at the Hearth.
Saturday,
What?
So
Saturday?
Yeah.
This
Saturday,
weekend.
Saturday afternoon. And then, of course, Wednesday at 4:30 is internship showcase. And I think it's another awesome opportunity to just feel good about all of the work and the hard decisions, because I'm always impressed with, it's just a different mode for them to show their success and their learning, than just in the classroom, where sometimes you got to drag them along, maybe hearing them talk about some amazing skills that they learned. So I really encourage you guys to keep checking those things out and, being motivated to keep doing this hard work. We have a really interesting coin war fundraiser going on right now in the school. This just, really gone beyond our expectations. The kids are getting into it. Pennies get them points, and then, nickels, dimes, quarters, like subtract points. So the classes are all at war with each other. And we've had somebody, two students brought I want to say $50 worth of pennies into the sophomore class. So there's a lot of counting going on.
Yeah.
There's so much.
But they're
Basic
getting
math
wound up
skills.
and really into it, so it's been super. The kids are that, so that's been awesome. And then last thing, we had the bequeathing ceremony today, which is where the seniors kind of pass on their their legacy to the juniors and the sort of cultural continuation. And Pete tried to share some pictures, but the email didn't work, but it was apparently a really nice thing. And then also the 8th graders just got back from their backpack trip, and from a couple of the people who got along. So a lot of good things
Great.
are going on. So making a lot of this worth it.
Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to thank Ray for keeping the bequeathing tradition alive. I think that's a dear ceremony. That's all, thanks.
So yeah, that's all I have. Yeah.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You are here. Way to
Thanks.
go. Thank you for volunteering. We had no one slotted for today, and Ray volunteered. I really
Thanks, Ray.
appreciated it. Ray.
Yes. Have a good rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Anthony, strategic plan is up now. Are you leading this presentation?
I can roll the ball out. And I had a question before we start. So because I'll be actually the bones for the strategic plan for next year are already done with dates, and I'm going to double check. Hannah and I talked. I'm going to double check the calendar to make sure that I'm accurate on those dates. So literally, it will be able to run itself, and then we'll have Kathy Gomez update after each GC meeting. And then feel free, if you have any questions ever or need a thought partner, feel free to call me. No problem with that. And then I'm curious on the student success coordinator. There's some stuff in there about creating, in the strategic plan, about creating a discipline matrix and things like that. So does the student success coordinator position continue, Hannah?
Yes, it does. Ally will continue to do that, but in all honesty, right, she is that and also the YCC and internship coordinator and her MLSS duties. She also does a ton of our federal grant writing and
Right.
state. And so she has not been particularly active with MLSS. She is on the committee that's working on a restorative discipline matrix, but that is separate. That's just her committee work with the restorative committee.
Well, anything that got into as everyone knows, I met with all the goal managers. So anything that got into strategic plan was based on feedback directly from them. So I think we're okay. So that was my only question.
No, it's a real goal.
And so I think Hannah can start reporting.
Yeah, I can try again. I made my director report. Huh? It says it's here. We'll see.
If not, Hannah, I'm willing to fill in. I've got everything in front of me. And then maybe it's possible we could just do this together.
Let's see here. It just wasn't loading before. We don't have internet, Anthony, I think, as you heard.
Yes.
Internet.
I'm sorry that all occurred.
And a minute ago, when I was trying to pull up my director's report, it wouldn't. So you could say the goal and I can tell you what updates I got from everyone, I guess, is what we'll have to do.
Yeah, I'll be very efficient, and then I will abbreviate saying every word of the goal and every word of the objective so we could get to the tasks, but do it in a way that can be understood. So we have a couple of goals reports for teaching and learning, which is basically improving teaching and learning systems and practices for the benefit of students. And we have so that's goal 1, and we have an objective C, which is complete written staff mentoring plan for teachers with requirements for mentors and mentees. And
And that's completed, and I had a
Yes.
link to it. Does the GC want to see the mentoring plan? Do you want me to share that link with you?
I don't.
I believe.
Okay,
Yeah, and
I-
the task was just report on progress, which Hannah just did. And what one change for this coming year is that we're going to be focusing on first year teachers only through the mentoring plan, not walk
Any-
before we can run with it, and especially given cuts and as Hannah pointed out, the complexity of the job.
yeah, the mentoring plan is largely aspirational, we'll call it, because there is no one to implement it. So you can have a plan, but there is not a human who can do it there. Yeah, no first year teachers next year, so it's okay.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, so next year could be spent thinking about
How to do it. in a way.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the next one, also in teaching and learning, is the objective is supporting the timely development and implementation of IEPs, and basically, basically in the goal of increasing student engagement, academic success, and emotional well-being. And then the task is to report, just to give a final update on the corrective action plan, which I know has been met, and just giving an update on maybe some next steps,
Sure.
if any.
So we were put on a corrective action plan last school year, 23-24, for untimeliness with reporting. We were timely this whole year. The offsite SPED director, Michelle, did a great job cleaning up a lot. And so that is all cleaned up. We're off our corrective action plan, and we have been on time with all of those things. Moving forward into next year, we are finalizing, but Pat Avalos has applied to be SPED director, and we're almost done finishing that up. So hopefully he will be the SPED director in the fall, and he can work with Michelle, the current off-site SPED director, for a seamless transition there. And he's working on all of that transition planning right now.
Fantastic. The next one is under fiscal systems and practices to sustain, to have a budget that's sustainable. And the objective is continue sustainable budget projections for increases in expenditures, inevitable increases in expenditures. And then there's 2 tasks for this meeting under this one, both of which I think have been done or are going to be done in the course of this meeting. So one was provide a detailed budget report to the governing council, and 2 was effectively manage the budget process to maintain a functional and sustainable uncommitted general operating fund balance, which has occurred.
Yes.
And then I just wanted to say how excited and pleased that I am from a personal point of view that all this got worked out, and there was some additional monies available, and just the whole process went like clockwork. And you guys are going to be able to sustain this program next year, and it sounds like there's pretty good plans to be able to sustain it beyond next year. So I couldn't be more elated. Goal 3 is provide human resources practices to improve student learning. And the objective there was implement new employee checklist forms, end of year employee checkout forms, and employee exit separation from service forms. And then, since pretty much all of that had been done last year and implemented and to a high level, the only piece was just continuing to ensure each exiting employee completes the exit separation from service form.
Jackie and I figured this out today, because last year you had created all the forms and we didn't have a lot of buy-in, but Jackie knows how to fix this. Tell us about it, Jackie.
Awesome.
What are we fixing?
Yeah.
People actually doing their checkouts.
Oh, yeah, so, before we would just, have people come and sign their contract and then they'd be on their merry way. So this year, we're gonna have a signing sheet.
The
and
checkout
the
sheet, yeah.
checkout sheet, and that's gonna be their ticket to get their contract.
How awesome is that? Great move. Yeah. And then last year, actually the middle school teachers did a great job. And the high school, from what I was told, was pretty much an offer. So that's a great carrot to get this done. Great job, Jackie. Number
Mhm.
4, these last two are from goal number 4, and then several governing council members had a great idea to kind of separate facility from operations stuff for next year. And I did that. I followed through and did that in next year's strategic plan. So provide facility operations risk management practices to improve student health, safety, and learning. The objective was to review student transportation maintenance schedule and articulate a plan of who is responsible for each item on the schedule to address any existing gaps, and report on progress and any revisions. And it's Pat, from what I understand, and also from talking to him, reported that he's got a software system going. So the task is report on progress and any revisions needed for the 25-26 strategic plan. So Hannah, do you want to update the GC on that?
Sorry, I was pulling up my director's report from my
That-
phone for the next thing,
that-
so I wasn't listening to. Pat did.
That's
that-
okay. This is student transportation maintenance schedule
So
and
he
and
implemented,
progress and what needs to change for next year.
yeah, we're still working on that because with him taking on sped director duties, I see and I'm concerned that he can't completely run transportation. But since he's put in the software, we're hoping somebody else can just book all the trips. And then he can continue to ensure that vehicle maintenance is up to date. And then we're going to be using one of our janitors to get the vehicles cleaned because that hasn't been happening regularly. And so we have a plan for next year for that.
Okay. And so that sounds like that's a little bit of a gap that right now that needs to be that you're addressing. Taking
Yeah,
a
we're
look at.
still working on it. It's not complete.
Okay. But the task did get met because it's report on progress and any revisions needed. And so you're working on the revisions as your report
Yeah.
for that. And then the last goal report, and by the way, June will be very abbreviated because I made sure we only had one thing to report on for June. So it won't be this long report. I collapsed a lot of stuff into May a year ago just to make sure, because I know how busy it is toward the end of the school year. So again, it's provide facility operations and risk management practices to the benefit of students and staff and the Aldo community. Then the objective was D, review the strategic plan and continue to increase staff trained in the areas needed. And those were first aid, CPR, woofer, SUVs, buses. And then we added for next year, the
Narcan.
Narcan, yes, and that's in next year's plan. And then the tasks, there's 2 tasks to report on for this meeting. Revised training spreadsheet to indicate additional staff trained, certified, and identified areas. So
That's
checking.
done.
Okay, that's Kathy has updated that. And
Actually keeps all those, but yes.
who does?
Andrea?
Oh, Andrea. Okay, great. And then report numbers of trained staff in all areas of need and share numbers compared to the previous year.
Right. So she sent me those numbers, and basically for CPR, a lot of people had to recertify this year. We had 17 staff recertified, but all staff are CPR certified. We added 3 new woofers, so we're up to 6 woofers in the school for this year. And then Suburban, same thing. All the new staff. So we did 7 new staff are Suburban trained this year. We didn't add any CDLs, but we did hire Jack. So that gives us 1 more CDL.
Yay.
And Narcan, everyone is trained as well.
Okay, and then just and I know the GC got a copy of this report form, but just a couple of additional notes, and I highly recommend that as soon as he's breathing, the next ALCS director give me a call on my cell, whenever that is this summer, just to kind of go through the strategic plan and how he can support it and what his role within it is. And then it would be nice, one of my recommendations is not here. It would be nice when possible to get the people that are actually doing the tasks to come to the meetings to report on the tasks, so the director isn't saddled with all of that. And I do understand people are busy but at least if they could come once in a while. And then one of the things I'm going to do before the end of the year, I'm sending each goal manager a one-page cheat sheet of everything they have to do next year, kind of like this, what the governing council is getting on a monthly basis. That way they can look and plan instead of react. So I think that will be great. And then, yeah, contract expires at the end of June. I recommended and also knew that this would be ending, and I really appreciate the honor of serving Aldo, both as interim and in this role. And I'll be setting up, like I said earlier, I'll be setting the plan up for success for next year, so it can run itself. And I'll be reaching out to people like Andrea and Kathy, and then Jackie. You also feel free to call me if you need anything or want to have a thought partner in any part of it for once I send you your sheet. So, thank you.
Anthony, thank you for all your steady guidance. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Anthony.
Anthony, I want to thank you specifically for three things that you just mentioned. The offer to mentor Will, that's very generous. And I will echo your offer when July rolls around, ask him to do that.
Fantastic.
The task reporting, I think that's a great idea. I guess it was just an assumption that that's what would happen. And the main reason I think it's a great idea to have the goal managers come is a connection for the governing council, right? Part of it's our fault. We don't spend enough time in the school, but we don't feel that connected to anybody except Jackie and Hannah. And so that would be really nice. I know we always appreciate staff reports, and this would be another form of that. And then the cheat sheets, I know if I were a teacher, I would really appreciate that. So thank you for your proactivity in putting those together.
Yes, you're welcome. Appreciate
Thanks, Anthony. We'll talk to you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Managed to call it up on your phone?
I did.
Yay.
Yay. And I don't have much. I had the strategic plan stuff. I just wanted to give a few updates. I was supposed to have my next facility meeting with Silver. The consolidation meetings was supposed to be this morning, but Will Hawkins had to change it. It's tomorrow morning. So I have one tomorrow morning from 8:30 to 12:30, and it's a really important one, looking at very specifically which schools to close. I know that there was a article in the Daily Press that gave some people pause because there was wording in it that sounded like maybe they weren't going to close JB. I wasn't at the last meeting. I don't know if the reporter was or whatever, but that's not been something that anyone has said. And I'll get a lot more information tomorrow too. And then there will be a final meeting May 21st, maybe, that Will Tracy's going to attend with me, so that he can meet Will Hawkins, talk, and be there for the final meeting, where the final recommendation will be made that they will take to the board school board for their June meeting. And that will be the recommendation of what schools to close, what to do. You know, they're looking at grade banding, neighborhood schools, all those things. So that is the timeline right now of Silver's consolidation plan. Are there any questions?
And I think I know the answer, the answer to this question. Does Aldo Leopold have any role in speaking up at that meeting about what we desire? I know we're sort of, I think we're supposed to just remain quiet and hope for the best. Is it appropriate for us to say, this would be so important to the life of the school and the education of young people in Grant County? What's that gonna look like?
I
that meeting?
I have been mostly a listener in the meetings
Mhm.
and I sit there, no one will sit with me. I'll put myself and get a whole table every time. Um, so but it does not, I have not found an opportunity to share with
Mhm.
them how great it would be for us, because there's also teachers there who work at JB and have for their whole careers.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard for them to think about that. So if
Okay.
that opportunity arises, I will take it. But I will say I am mostly there to listen and learn.
Yeah, I trust your taste and discretion. I just wondered what the meetings were like. I will endeavor to get to that May 21st meeting. I'll be back in Silver just to
You know,
see what
Jim,
happens.
my thought about your question is that there's no upside and there's potential downside to
Yeah,
speaking
yeah.
at those meetings. And the no upside is because Hannah and presumably will have a great line of communication with Mr. Hawkins.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't gain anything by speaking to others. And the potential downside is, you know, as much as we might not want this to be the case, there's definitely resentment in the community about Aldo still. There's still a perception that we take students from the district and thereby cost the district money.
Mhm.
I think the results of the bond election and the SB 9 election last year partly are attributable to that. People don't want to do something that has Aldo Leopold in the bond measure, in the mill levy measure. So, yeah, I feel good about Hannah's approach.
Fair enough. And I also will say that Mr. Hawkins and a lot of people express very much that Aldo is an important part of the community and all kids learn differently and having options for them is incredibly important. So it's not an overall feeling, but the feeling Harry's talking about certainly exists.
Yeah.
It's good to be sensitive to it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
For sure. Thanks.
So okay, that was the facilities update. For right now, with our lease right now, same as it has been, we have one more year. If and when that changes, I will let everyone know. As I may have mentioned bitterly, there is no internet. And
Mhm.
I am trying to get some answers on this because we had found a bunch of Harry helped me find a bunch of hotspots from COVID. They're all running out of data. The line that WNM ran for us went down today. We have state testing, we have AP testing, we have finals, we have these meetings to run. It is getting incredibly difficult to run a school without internet. And I'm not sure what to do, but I thought I'd just share that with everyone. I thought I'd also share the front door. Did everyone see it on the way in? Do we all know what happened there? No. I don't know. Anyway, an angry parent broke that door, wanting to come get a cell phone. So people are on edge. It's my general thing that I've noticed.
Hey, Hannah, I know that we did some testing at Silver because of internet problems. Can we do that with the state testing you just mentioned?
So we have continued to test at Silver, but then for AP next week, they needed the room. And Cheryl's continuing to work with them. We might be able to use Silver High's library, but they're not sure. Things are up in the air. It's really challenging.
What are tomorrow's tests?
Nothing tomorrow. Did I say? Oh, no,
There is-
Cheryl is testing tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
That's over at Silver. Yeah, that one's fine. It's next week's, I think it's Wednesday, AP.
Tuesday. Oh, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday, that one we lost a space for. Yeah, because they need it. So hope Cheryl's working on it and she's working great and Silver's been wonderful. But it is a challenge. All right. Eighth grade. Ray talked about a lot of these things. So eighth grade went backpacking. They got back today. They had a great trip. It was very cold. And of course there's a fire ban. So extra cold. And Aldo Count went out a week ago and that was a very good trip. Things that we have coming up, obviously, Ray mentioned some bequeathing was today. The music show on Saturday at 2, the internship showcase next Wednesday at 4:30. Governing Council is invited to all of these, the music show, internship showcase. Graduation is a week from Saturday. It is at the Fact at 2 o'clock. And for anyone who might be a new GC member, if you've never gone to an Aldo graduation, I know Tanya will be there. She has no choice. But it is a great and joyful, amazing celebration. I really, really strongly encourage governing council members to attend. It will be fun. And the day after graduation, Alex, Tager, and SAC and Resource Development has put together a fundraiser. I have a few posters. Does anybody want a poster at the Zocalo at 4:30 on Sunday?
Sorry, what date?
That's the
May 18th.
May 18th. Thank you. And I'll grab posters after I'm done with my report and bring them for people. So a lot of great stuff happening. Oh, senior banquet is tomorrow night. That's what they were in there cooking for, and that will be at the Commons. So seniors will have a great banquet. Questions on any of those events? And then the last piece, I met with Will Tracy today. He popped in for a few minutes. He injured himself really badly because he's been trying to have a whole bunch of fun before he has a baby job. And so he was climbing in the organs, and a refrigerator sized boulder let go with him, and he fell in it. He broke a finger. He's torn up. He has to go in for an MRI on Monday, but he's fine. He'll be fine. Will is really tough. Were you there?
No, my husband.
Your
was.
husband.
No, and Garrett. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, I
they-
knew Garrett was there,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But he did have fun. He had a great time, right? And that's an adventure. So, but Will and I are beginning our transition planning. Our first day together will be next week. He's going to come in on Wednesday and we'll work together for a while. Then he's coming with me to the last facilities meeting with Silver, and we'll continue to work together towards my transition.
And you'll have so much to say.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's
I'll tell them I had to bring some. It's just, and I understand, most of them are sitting with their buildings. Why would they sit? Anyway, it gives me lots of space. I like to spread out, so that's good. The other pieces, I guess, that I wanted to talk about really quick are the calendar. One of the pieces in budget that we didn't talk about is that by getting rid of some professional development days, adding a couple days to the calendar, you'll see it's different than last year, and we go later, but through those changes, I was able to access something called K-12 plus funding, which generated $159,000. I thought it would be 153. That really helped the budget and helped save jobs. So I was thrilled with that. And that is the calendar. It is finalized there. If you're ready to approve it, that's it. The other piece I've talked about programmatic changes, getting rid of double grade level trips. We're doing that. But the other piece is within scheduling. And so we are going to move to a straight schedule, which means we're moving away from blocks into a period schedule because it makes it easier to move people around. Cheryl, in creating the schedule, is it's harder for her with the blocks to maximize everyone. I have a draft schedule. This is not finalized. This is not necessarily what it'll look like, but this is what next year around what it'll look like. There are people who may end up teaching different things. And yeah, so I'll let you look at the draft schedule and see if you have questions on that. That is everything for my report.
You have questions for him? We will have
It will be an
Calendar discussion.
orientation. August 1st will be an orientation and not a full school day.
Sorry, that was my public.
Yes, I understand. It gets, what PED wants is everyone to move towards what they call a balanced calendar, which is a year-round calendar. And they do that by dangling money. And then we say, okay, and then we just keep expanding and expanding, and it will eventually happen, is my guess. I mean, if that's where the money is.
Wow. How are graduation numbers?
We have, I'm trying to remember how many seniors we have right this second. 2 of them who started the year will not be walking at graduation. One of them moved in May, and we're working with an organization called Engage New Mexico to help that student recover credits, and he would still be counted as a graduate if he can do the Engage New Mexico credit recovery through the summer.
You moved here?
No, he moved away.
away.
He left Silver. He's over 18. Anyway, not so much personal identifiable. There's one kid who might still count as a graduate for us, and the other student who can't walk is also working with this group, Engage New Mexico, doing some credit recovery, and it looks like he should be able to get a diploma in June. So
Great.
it's an awesome
That's
program.
actually really good.
They like cold called me, and I actually answered, no, we just got money from the state to run this pilot program for grad re-engagement. Do you have any kids who are maybe not going to graduate? We had a month ago, like 7, and they've been working with everyone. They call, they work with families, they have credit recovery online, and Cheryl's been working with them. So it's been super positive. And I'll write them a glowing recommendation because this was their pilot year. And then if they get the full grant, they would work with kids all year long. And so those kids who are struggling would have a coach or a mentor throughout the year to keep sort of cheerleading them across the finish line. Super, super positive in my experience. It hasn't been very long, but really awesome.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks. Jim, anything else?
No, thanks.
Thanks.
So on the committees, Finance Committee, much abbreviated version of it.
Yeah.
Met to hear Justine's report. I would say there was nothing outstanding at all, nothing worth mentioning particularly. We went over the outstanding POs, had a couple ideas of where we might end up with more money than we're thinking. On the other hand, we went over the food service problem and estimates were either 40 or 50,000 possibly needing to come from operational to shore up that fund. Hopefully next year's a lot better. Either of you remember anything from finance?
Other than that, really, it wasn't. It's, you know, Justine has a lot of bars to clean stuff up for the end of the year, and she explained those bars, but all of them are just maintenance. It's just cleaning,
Well,
cleaning.
Fortunately, several of them are incorporating new revenue.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is a
true.
really good thing.
Yeah.
And that, yeah. Okay. Questions about the finance committee? Alex or Jim? Anyone?
No, thanks.
You went to that one. Yeah. Equity Council,
Didn't meet.
good. Why did, I know why I put it on here, because I did get a note from Alan.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
because
so sorry, I
Ally's
should have
talking
had
about
that
that.
ready.
Yeah.
Find out this one. The Equity Council wrapped up the equity plan for the state, including the CLRs. That's it,
Culturally
That's
and
it.
linguistically relevant curriculum.
including that inventory. We still have to do that. Wow,
Yeah, we do.
I thought that was a flash in the pan.
No, they still,
We
it's
will
just-
have, yeah, that took me like
it takes forever.
many days.
Yeah, it is such a time suck.
We will have one more meeting this year to reflect, set goals for next year and wrap up the year. And she says for the curriculum committee, it had its last meeting this week. We discussed themes to tie together the experiential education we do inside and outside of the classroom for grade level. We will discuss this further as a staff at our end of the year in service and continue work on it next school year. The ultimate goal for next year is to design the curriculum framework around these themes and the graduate profile.
Did she also tell you, so curriculum got some really good work done. So we are developing, and they're not done, this is what we're gonna work on as a staff. But the idea is to develop grade level themes to create more cohesion for lesson planning and curriculum alignment across, across the disciplines. So right now, the proposed themes are 6th grade community, 7th grade